is all true, but here they are. But unfortunately, they've just stopped feeding for the moment, and they managed to take down an eland. How exciting. Very, very cool. Because for such a big pride, I suspect it's the Angama pride, they need a good meal, and you can see that they've tucked into it fairly quickly, although there's still quite a bit left around on the legs, and then also there's some very tasty organs. So they might come back, but also they've got full bellies now. The day is getting warmer and warmer. The possibility of them abandoning this kill is quite high too, because there's not really much shade around them. They're going to have to head up either further south from here, or perhaps up to the top of that little sort of outcrop. You can also see some elephants just up top there. There's actually a variety of game around at the moment. Of course, we've got the elephants, and at one point they looked like statues because they were all just standing very, very still up against the hill. And I actually even had to pick up my binoculars and have a look and make sure they weren't mechanical. Ha 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 ha. And then the eland, just to the left, you'll see them coming down. So I presume it's from that herd that this eland was captured. I don't know if it's a male or a female. I think she looks quite grey. I wonder if it wasn't a young male. But there, the eland all walking down, as well as some topi. So there's plenty food around for them, which is quite nice. But they are moving into awkward areas. There's actually one lioness taking the very young cubs up the top of the escarpment. It's not quite the escarpment, but I think they're going to go and rest up there, maybe on those rocks. You just missed them, Darby. Top left. There's one with all the young cubs. There we go. There they are. So those are the really little ones. Well, they look like it. It's exceptionally far away, I'm afraid. I don't know if we're going to stay here for too much longer, because if I do head up on that hill, we're not going to be able to follow them. It looks like they're getting ready to abandon their kill. There is so much going on, though. It's fairly peaceful for now. The lioness keeps looking down to the rest of them, so they're slowly heading up. There's also some buffalo that are hanging about, just staring at all the lions, not really doing much for the minute. Now, EP, wondering if lions ever go into a frenzy, much like sharks do when there's blood in the water. If it's a fresh kill, they most certainly do frenzy around the carcass, especially with all these youngsters. You can imagine how excited they would be. And we all know that young lions think that they rule the roost. And if there aren't any big males around, the females, they will reprimand them, of course. But at this age, they're still quite tolerant of them. So it's quite exciting, not to just see, but to the sounds that come from the lions when they are fighting over a carcass and everybody's trying to, get a piece of the pie. But as soon as they get older, and if the triangle boys were here feeding on this carcass, they probably wouldn't tolerate some of those older cubs, and they would chase them off. There is so much food. There they go. Long line of lions heading up to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little cubs climbing their way up with nice full bellies. So they'll probably go to sleep now in a little bit once they reach their destination. Now, an interesting question from Proud Cat Mamba. You're wondering, why are lions so important to the ecosystem? Every animal out here has a role, and if one of them were to go extinct, there'd be a sort of a gap in the, I suppose a gap in the ecosystem. And lions, we know, are exceptional predators. So firstly, they control the prey species population, so from buffalo to eland to topi to Thompson's gazelle to even down to a scrub hare, they'll be contributing to maintaining the prevention of overpopulation of the herbivore species. And also they keep other predator populations in check too. We know they kill other lions, they'll kill leopards, they will also kill cheetah, of course. So I suppose they're around to keep everybody in check. And then also, because they can scavenge, and lions are some of the biggest scavengers out of all the predators, is that they'll control the disease, the outbreak, by feasting upon, carcasses that have been left about. So most of the predators are there for population control of the herbivores. But then there's things that come around that control their population too, like disease outbreaks, like canine distemper, rabies. All these different types of things will come through and then also control the populations of lions, for example. We see that happening every now and then when lion populations do exceptionally well. All of a sudden, disease of some sort will come through and wipe quite a few of them out. But it is, as sad as what it is very important to have these outbreaks every now and then. But it's very sad that there are more captive lions than there are lions left in the wild in Africa, or actually in the world, which is not a great statistic, and hopefully we'll be able to change that. They must have killed this maybe late last night. I'm trying to think, I didn't see them up here, so it must have been after, and we passed this area and you could see them from the road, from the Olololo gate. So this must have happened either late last night or early hours of this morning, and they've done a good job at gobbling most of it up. And there are a lot of lions, a lot of mouths to feed here with 4 adults and I think there's 12 cubs. They all would have been very, very hungry. And if there were some trees nearby that would have been casting nice shade, I reckon they would have just dragged what's left of that carcass, or at least sat within close proximity and tried to protect it. But I don't think that that's going to happen here. I think that they've pretty much done now, and that carcass will be taken care of by the vultures. The jackals could come in, hyenas, lots of different things out here. Maybe another lion comes through and sees it and scavenges off it too. That's also a possibility. But I reckon the vultures will get it too. It's a warm day, so they're going to be catching those thermals relatively quickly. And this is out in the open. They're going to spot it straight away. I haven't seen any gatherings of birds just yet. I'm actually just having a quick scan around to see. Not just yet. Maybe a little bit too early. No. Well, I don't think we're going to hang around with these lions because they are very far away from us and they're going to disappear out of view. They're all heading up to the rocks now. See them? They're climbing right at the top. Have a quick look at them, how quickly they covered that area. And the little ones are ahead. And you can see them just up to the left. You just spot little tan things every now and then. So they're going to go and relax in the shade. But Brent is still with his cheetah. He was hoping that they were going to catch something. I wonder if they're any closer to their next meal.
Well, I was really hoping they would, but they still have not moved. They're still sitting on top of this termite mound. Remember, this is 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. And it is getting hot very quickly, even though we had a very cold start to the morning. It has warmed up incredibly fast today. Now, we do have a little herd of zebra coming through, but I don't see any babies. There's one juvenile, but it's already quite big on the opposite side. Following the wildebeest we saw earlier this morning on their way back to Tanzania. Now, we had a question about whether cheetah occur anywhere else outside of Africa naturally, and I've completely gone blank on who was asking. Sorry about that, but I'm sure Megan will tell me shortly. But yes, they do. There's only one place that they occur naturally outside of Africa, and that is Iran. V. Harpy, there we go, who was asking that question. And cheetah occur naturally in Iran, a very small population, less than 100 individuals in that whole population. Now, the Mara Serengeti population is around 1,300 to 1,400 cheetah. Now, it's a very big area, so it's very difficult to have exact counts on things like that. The largest meta population, however, is in southern Africa with just under 5,000 between Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa. Ooh, some excitement back in South Africa as some bundles of joy have come to join the Nkuhumas.
Indeed they have. We don't have view of them yet. I can just see the female coming in now with them, and hopefully they are going to come onto the road at some point and we'll be able to see the little ones. There they come. Look at how cute they are. Hello, little ones. Oh, you gotta say hello to the little... Oh, they're so cute. But yes, there's only 2 of them left, unfortunately. But it's so sweet when you see them. And I love how playful they are. Look, mom is taking them to meat. You got to come and see what meat is and come and check it out. And this will, even though it is... they've probably fed on meat before, it's still a newish thing, and so mama has to guide them to it and make 100% sure they know what's going on. But how cool is that? Aren't they the sweetest little things? Look how hungry they are. They're diving into that meat as quick as they can and feeding and trying to get as much food in and try and kind of get it all down. You'd think that they've never eaten before, even though they're so fluffy and full of food already. Look at the size of their tummies. It's not like they're starving, but you would swear they are the way that they're going at that carcass, which is super cool. You can see mom is already fed though. She had a really good meal before she went and fetched them. It's amazing how far she has walked this morning already. She was seen very early this morning, I believe, around Gowrie Main Triple M. Now if you work out where that is from where we are now, it is very far away, and I don't even know if that's where she sort of got them, or if she already started walking with these little ones a while ago. But she's definitely walked a very long distance, and that meant that these little ones must be quite hungry and quite tired by now, because they've had to go a long way in this horrible cold weather, and so I'm sure they want to fill themselves up and make sure they get lots of food. But how cool is that? And it's perfect just to see the little ones go. And so they're going to feed, and they're going to try and get as much food into those little bellies as possible. And what I'm hoping is mom is going to lie on the road with the sub-adults, and then once these little ones are done, then they might be able to come and sit on the road and suckle. Nancy, you say thanks mom, this day is awesome. I'm sure they are saying thanks mom. Little fresh kudu must be quite pleasant. I would imagine that it's a nice meal on a cold day like this when it's been freezing, just to kind of get everything nice and warm again. And they'll obviously be trying to kind of get as much nutrients as possible, just to kind of keep those bodies in good condition and try and keep the amount of food or amount of heat up as little ones. I'm sure they're going to have a good cuddle with mom though at some point today. Becca, funny enough, no, it's quite interesting how tolerant the adults are over these tiny little cubs. They very seldom are in any way aggressive, and really are quite nice to the cubs when they're still tiny like this. When they get a little bit older, then yes, the females can be quite aggressive. But there is a sub-adult that's coming in now. Now, sub-adults is a different story. As an older sibling, you have the right to bully your younger siblings, and they might get a little bit bullied on this carcass. The nice thing is that it is quite a big carcass, and it's quite spread out, and that means that they're going to be able to kind of find a place to feed, and everyone's going to be all right, and kind of have their own little space. Also, the thing is with cubs is that they don't take up much room at the carcass itself. They only take up a little bit. Oh, there goes a little cub is going to go onto the road. Hello, little one. Look how cute that is. Wait for me, mom. That's awesome. I like that. They are the sweetest little things when they're this small. There's nothing like little lion cubs. And obviously that one has decided I would rather have a situation where I suckle from mom and get some milk, rather than going all the way and getting some cold meat and away from mom. At least with mom there's a bit of a body heat that develops while they're suckling as well. Although that little one is still in there, it's on top of the carcass now and is having an absolute thorough feed. Look at that little backside. It is tiny, tiny, tiny in comparison to the sub-adults. It just gives you an idea of how big those size of the sub-adults is. It's amazing that the little ones are as small as they are. If you think that one on the right was that size just over a year ago, is pretty insane. Now, Megan, all the way from Louisiana, you say this is just so stinking cute. They are very cute. They are incredibly cute little animals, and especially little cubs, lion cubs. I don't know what it is about them. They are the sweetest things. They got these tiny little faces, kind of bounce around all over the show and flop around and fall over things, and they really are the sweetest thing. And then when they interact with the pride, it's always wonderful to watch, because you see them kind of getting to play a little bit with their sub-adults, and there's a bit of swatting that goes on and a bit of growling and carrying on, and their talking is the best part. I love the way that little ones squeak and make a lot of noise. It's super cute. And I was watching a sighting that Brent had the other day where he's that Black Rock Pride, which is just phenomenal. That pride has just got so many little ones these days, and they were all over the place playing with sausage fruit and trees, and it's just the cutest thing when you get a lot of little cubs together. And so hopefully these little ones will survive and grow up, and then we'll have a situation in sometime soon where we get a number of females all having cubs again, and we'll have a similar situation to that Black Rock Pride. It's going to be interesting to see what the Nkuhumas do, is whether or not they stay together or if there's going to be a split. At the end of the day, well, here comes the little ones again, being chased by the sub-adults. So you can see lots of games that take place. Come on, you're coming here. And the older siblings do this a lot. It's just part and parcel of being a youngster. You unfortunately have to deal with the older ones and have to get played around with and tackled, and it all toughens them up for later in life. It can be sometimes a problem in that the older siblings can sometimes be a little too rough with the young ones, and it has been reported that there have been cases where little ones have been killed. But these little ones have been with this pride a few times now. It's not the first time that we're seeing these Nkuhumas with the rest of this pride, and well, the little cubs with the rest of the pride. They have been introduced before, and so, you know, if they have been introduced before and have spent a lot of time with these sub-adults, then everything is okay. They won't end up hurting them. They know to be quite gentle, and you'll find if mom is happy with the little ones playing around with them, then it's all okay. And it generally is quite gentle. It's just a few little trip-ups here and a little bite here and there, but nothing too major. But they're looking healthy, aren't they? They're looking fat and full, and as though they've really had a good time. Becca, mom's milk is probably more nutritious than this meat. It'll have a lot more fat in it, that's for sure, and so that will help with keeping their body fat levels up and keeping them especially warm in cold times like this. But meat is also good. At the end of the day, they need meat, and they need that protein, and mom's milk, you know, is always reliant, and the nutrient level is reliant on what she's feeding on. So if she's not feeding well, then the milk is probably not going to be too good. But when she's feeding well, her milk and her nutrients is better for these little cubs, and they will end up with a situation where they can, you know, get a lot more nutrients out of the milk. But I suppose meat tastes nice, and they want to eat meat, and so it's instinct to go there and feed off that. And also mom's going to slowly but surely wean them off and make sure that they actually are no longer on the milk, but rather on the food, which is still going to be a while. It'll probably be another 3-4 months until they're weaned completely. But I suppose meat is fairly tasty because they're absolutely going at it at this stage. So cute though. Oopsie, careful, don't fall over. So a number of you are wondering if there is always only been 2 cubs or if there's been 3, and as I've suggested many times this morning, that there is only 2 now. There were 3, so unfortunately one has disappeared and one is no longer with us. It seems as though, from what I can gather, it disappeared around a massive dam on the southern side of Elephant Plains. It's called Big Dam, and Big Dam has a big crocodile in it, and I think one of them must have just drifted too close to the water, and the crocodile must have got it. They said it was there in the afternoon, and the next morning there was only 2 after they had been at that dam and had spent the day at the dam drinking and messing around. And so I think one of them unfortunately drifted a little too close and got nabbed by a crocodile. It's not the first time I've heard of crocodiles going after little lion cubs. It happens regularly. I've seen it down on the Sabi River, a lioness carrying her cub across the river, and a crocodile snatched her cub right out of her mouth. So it does happen, and it is a thing that does, you know, is part and parcel of life, and it's why Kruger and a lot of the leopards taught their cubs to try and stay away from water. And even the Nkuhumas, you'll remember a sighting with Brent where the female kept grabbing the little one and moving it away from water, trying to teach it that water is not a safe thing and that they need to be careful. And there would have been a valuable lesson learned for the remaining 2. Unfortunately, it would have come at a price for the others. Well, the other one, should I say. It's amazing actually just to watching them though. They almost don't seem to know where they want to actually feed. They're kind of trying to just find anywhere where they can get their mouths in and get a little bit of food. And they're not like other, you know, older lions that will know exactly what little bits they want and little cuts they want to try and find. It's a little different with these guys. They're kind of trying to work their way around, and you can see, look how strong that is already. I mean, that cub is lifting a leg that probably weighs as much as it, or if not more, and it was actually lifting it up and kind of rolling it. So even at this age, they already are getting very powerful, and that games that they've been playing with these older siblings, those kind of things are all going to be helping them to strengthen up and end up getting a lot bigger and a lot healthier and stronger, and be able to then defend themselves come the time later in life. Paul, yes, if the sub-adults got too rough and one of the little cubs let out a squeal, you'll find mom will probably come in and chase them off and growl and hiss at the sub-adults. I don't think it'll ever try and attack them, but it will definitely stand between them and chase them off. And the sub-adults know if mom comes in here and mom starts growling and hissing, that it's time to back off quickly and get away from them. So she will, at some stages, if it gets too rough, intervene, but for the most part it's important that these little ones bond with the sub-adults, that they spend time with them and learn a little bit more, about being sort of playing, and those playing games will help with hunting later, with developing strength, as I said, and just developing certain instincts on how to hunt and how to go after various food sources, as well as to defend themselves later in life. So it's important that they do play those games and that they play amongst each other, but obviously if it gets a little out of hand, then mom will step in and just make sure that her little ones don't get too hurt. But how cute is that face? They are very sweet, these little ones. Certainly happy to have breakfast by the looks of things. Now, they don't have the dental structure just yet to really shear off big chunks of meat. You'll find they'll use their tongues a lot and lick a lot of this meat off, and then they'll also pull little bits with those little incisors and try and get chunks like that. At the end of the day, their nostrils are not really that well developed to be able to slice off big chunks just yet, but it'll get there eventually. Little one, have you had enough now, both of you? Is it time to rather go cuddle with mom? It's too cold by themselves, and look, kind of shoving each other around a little bit as well. It's super sweet. It's almost as if they don't know quite what they want to do, is where they want to eat, how much they want to eat, and whether or not they want to go back to mom. I think that one's decided, nope, I'm going to head back to where mom is, or play with a branch or something like that. Let's see if she goes, no, around to the sub-adults instead. You can just see the little one is kind of just behind between the two now, and has found a place to feed next to its older sibling. Super cute though. How cool is this? So special. I'm hoping that this Nkuhuma Pride does come back towards Djuma and spends a lot more time up that way, because it is the best thing when you've got little cubs in a pride. They are so entertaining, and even when the rest of the pride is sleeping, like what we've seen today, where everybody is kind of flat and quiet and not really doing very much, the little ones are busy constantly, and they'll be moving around or either trying to suckle or play, and they add a whole different dynamic to the pride, and it's really a wonderful thing to watch them growing up. And we were spoiled last year on Safari Live, where we got to follow the Nkuhuma Pride as much as we did for that period, and it would be nice to have a similar kind of run with the Nkuhumas over the next little bit. Oh, a little swatting. Roshni asking if I can share a story or experience with guests and their reactions to lion cubs or any other special animal on drive. Well, Roshni, I can tell you that, it's obviously a lot of different experiences. There's been a lot of different guests in my time, and a lot of different people that I've taken on safari, and a lot of sightings that I've had. And I can tell you that cubs generally evoke a lot of emotion in people, and I've seen a number of different guests that are either speechless or will get into a situation where it's particularly a lot of ladies that have recently had children. They tend to be quite affected by seeing cubs, and you'll find that they end up in a situation where you often see people having tears of joy and just tears of kind of sheer sort of excitement of being able to see these tiny little ones in the wild, and a lot of people are speechless as well. So there's so many different sightings and so many kind of ways and reactions that people have. It's the best thing when you get people that have those kind of reactions, and you see the sheer enjoyment in their faces when they get to see something like this for the first time in their life. It is quite a special feeling. I have also had the complete opposite spectrum as well, where people are just completely disinterested in seeing things like this, and it just becomes kind of a list just to tick off. I mean, I've had a guy that once fell asleep in a sighting of leopard cubs that were the first time that he had even seen a leopard, let alone leopard cubs, and he ended up falling asleep in the sighting with the little leopard cubs suckling and playing, and it was just the most ridiculous sighting. The rest of the guests on the vehicle were going crazy and were literally shaking with excitement, and one fella just decided he wasn't really that interested. In fact, he wasn't really interested in anything that we showed him, and he was a bit of a handful. But it does happen. I mean, we get, on one side, you get these people that just absolutely love every single second of a sighting like this, and just want to stay and want more and want to come back and want to come every drive to little cubs and just watch them go about their business. And then you obviously, on the other side of things, get people that just sometimes don't really care too much for it, which is a shame. Well, talking about people being excited and people really enjoying the experience and enjoying watching animals, my friend Brent Smith in the Masai Mara is probably the most excitable person I know about animals, and gets very passionate, and he's thoroughly enjoying his 2 spotted beautiful animals.
Experience multiple guides every single drive. Not much has changed here with Miale and her young boy. They're still lying on top of the same termite mound in almost the exact same position as when you were last here. Now, of course, it could change in an absolute split second. You never, ever know what's going to happen next. And, yes, Tristan might have mentioned I'm slightly excitable when I see things that excite me. I tend to get a little bit worked up, and especially when I am spending time with some of my favorite animals in the African bush. Or birds. I tend to get very excited over certain birds as well. Under trees, and flowers, and grass, and mammals. Pretty much I can get excited about anything out in the bush. Oh, isn't that... Oh, that. You're going to get shouted at, little one. And you stretch your legs into Mom's tummy. There we go. Might be quite uncomfortable having claws popped into your stomach and pushed. Ciara is wondering, at what age do the fluffy necks become not fluffy? Well, cheetah always maintain a bit of a fluff and a dorsal crest, even when they are into adults, but the very prominent fluffiness disappears between 1 year and 2 years old. Oh, the vultures are waking up as it gets warmer, going to see if there's any potential snacks about on the open plains. Going to start looking for some thermals. I wonder where they've been sleeping all night. But they are very much up and out and about now. Random and Danny is wondering, how much water do cheetah need? Well, not too much. If there is water available, they will drink every day, but they are able to get a lot of their water from blood of whatever they do eat, same as lions and leopards. So they're not nearly as dependent on water as, say, a wildebeest or a zebra is. Oh, they are. It is getting very hot very quickly here in the Mara. And I'm wondering if they are going to move. They might just wait it out here for quite a while. I think I'm going to give them another half an hour or so, till we move on. And we've still got a long way to go today, back towards camp. Sorry, Megs, can you go again? You broke up quite badly there. I heard there was a question from Becca, and then you sounded like an alien. Now, isn't this incredible? Megan is sitting at Djuma, talking to me over the radio, all the way from Djuma. Aha! There we go. Thank you, Megs. Becca is wondering, has there ever been a king cheetah in the Mara? No, there has not ever been a king cheetah in the Mara. It is a genetic mutation that seems to be confined to southern Africa. There have been king cheetah recorded in South Africa, Botswana and Zimbabwe. And the last king cheetah in the wild was from very close to Djuma. It is now a town, Acornhoek, in the 60s, 70s. The last king cheetah caught in the wild was from that area. Now, cheetah are notoriously difficult breeders, and even in the wild they tend to have a bit of trouble in breeding, and the females need to pass up multiple male coalitions before they will actually become pregnant. And it is one of the reasons that a lot of the cheetah breeding projects fail dismally, and they need very specific circumstances to breed. So wild cheetah have a far higher success rate when it comes to actually giving birth to young than captive bred cheetah. Of course, their survival rate isn't nearly as good because of the lions and everything else that's out here. But in terms of breeding, they have far greater success in the wild. Now, I read a lot generally, so there's rumored to say one of the great Chinese emperors had 1,000 cheetah that he used for hunting, and during his lifetime only one of them successfully bred cubs, even though they constantly were trying to breed cubs. So that was hundreds of years ago. People were trying to breed cheetah and they still were battling. So it is very interesting. So far higher success in breeding in the wild than there is in captivity. All the rufous snake larks still talking much better. Now they'll get quieter as it gets warmer, along with quite a few of the other birds. It's quite strange in the Mara because you go through very quiet periods, and one of the quietest times in the Mara is the middle of the day when it's hot. There's almost not a sound apart from the insects. Now, look at him, he's falling asleep. Oh, there he goes. Oh, fight it. Oh, he can't. Now, let's go to someone who's very much wide awake, Madam McCurdy.
I feel like I'm always wide awake. I always look like I've drank an energy drink of sorts. It's just natural. Much to my parents' despair, me growing up. I think they thought I was going to outgrow it, but I haven't. Anyways, so we left our lions. Obviously, now we're looking for more things. I wanted to show you some superb starlings, but they wouldn't cooperate. They kept flying away. Very rude. We have a question from Indiana, and it's, what do I think are the 5 top sounds? Big 5 sounds in Africa? Something along those lines. And I was trying to think about it. I've got 3 so far. Lion, obviously, up there. Then fish eagle, definitely a good one. And hyenas, that's all I listened to last night. It was actually quite amazing. I don't know what the hyenas were up to. There's a clan that lives quite close to camp. They were making all sorts of interesting sounds. So there must have been a bit of a feeding frenzy or something was going on. So that's another one. I suppose a hippo. If you're anywhere near the water's edge, rivers that have hippos, it's a beautiful sound to hear, of course. David? An elephant. A trumpet or a rumble, or all of the sounds? Trumpet. Darby says a trumpet of an elephant for the 5th one. But I suppose you can get creative, and it's going to be different for every single person. I'm trying to think of some other nice calls. Even something like a woodland kingfisher is a pretty spectacular sound to hear, and so sort of unique as well. So those are my 5, but I mean I could change, and you could ask me the same question in 3 weeks' time and I'll probably give you a different answer. It depends on my mood. But I like the sounds of hippos, hyena, lions, leopard soaring, but I don't think it's as spectacular as some of the other calls in the bush. Although it is beautiful, it's different. So we popped up. We're popping up towards the escarpment now and hope to find the Sausage Tree Pride, but they've been MIA. I have no idea where they have been hanging out. I haven't actually heard many reports of them being seen. Now, typically when you come across another safari guide, you have to stop and have a chat. And you talk about, what have you seen? And the last few days when I've said, have you seen the lions here? And they've said no. So I don't know where they've gone. But there's some nice trees here with tall grass. It would be perfect to hide lions in. Maybe we will find them. Maybe they're just playing hide and seek very, very well. Oh, we could have to see a cheetah. We know there's a female cheetah that moves around here too. Okay. We'll keep searching around here, checking the rocks, checking under the shaded trees for any animals hiding about. Tristan, I think, and hopefully he'll have some different calls to add to the 5 big sounds. Let's go and hear what he thinks they should be.
Well, Tayla, I'm not sure. I think you hit the nail on the head with those. I think those are 5 of the most iconic sounds for sure that we hear out here in the bush. I obviously think that there's one thing we probably always forget is the sound of maybe cicadas. Cicadas are a sound that is synonymous with the summer in the bush. But in terms of all year round, I think those sounds that you mentioned are most definitely the ones that remind us the most of a safari and of being out here in Africa. I think those kind of are the 5 synonymous calls. Maybe I'm just trying to think what else there could be. There's pretty much just those really for me as well. I think those are the ones, like when you hear those, you know that you are in the wilds of Africa as soon as you hear them. So I think for me those are probably them as well. There's none others that really kind of make a lot of noise. Now the little cubs are still feeding, still messing around and playing around. They every now and then kind of come out and show themselves on the road and kind of have a little look around, and there's been a few calls and contact calls, maybe trying to hope that Mom will hear them. And there we go, trotting over to Mom. I think it's time for a bit of milk now and time for a bit of a cuddle to try and stay. Now Tayla McCurdy apparently wants to add Brent Leo Smith to this big 5 sounds. Well, certainly big sounds, I would imagine. Brent Leo Smith and Tayla McCurdy, you're not very far, so we can add you 2 to make the Magnificent 7 sounds of the bush. That can be the 2, because the Magnificent 7 in terms of animals is if you add cheetah and wild dogs in there, then you'll get the Magnificent 7. So we can have the Magnificent 7 with Brent and Tayla as the 2 bigger sounds from the Safari Live crew. It would actually be interesting to know who has the highest decibels in terms of voices in the Safari Live crew. I would imagine Brent, and then I would think that maybe Tayla, followed by Scott. And so Tayla says Ali as well when it comes to decibels. Well, yes, Tayla and Ali together is a deafening experience, and one that I try and avoid as much as possible. No, I'm just joking. Those 2 always, when they're together, are always laughing, having a lot of fun, and it's good that they do, and it's always quite entertaining to be around the 2 of them, that's for sure. I also forgot Biceps Byron. He's definitely part of the louder part of the crew. Oh, look and listen to this one talking about loud sounds. Hey, little one. Now that's not very loud at all, but she was contact calling. Now I can't tell if they're male or females yet. Proud Cat Mama, you say a pure cuteness overload. Well, exactly. It is just the cutest thing to see when little cubs are around and playing and calling and having a good time. It is just the most amazing thing. And it's sitting here in moments like this, it makes you just realize how fortunate we really are to be able to experience the things we do. Obviously, the little ones, I think, have gone for milk now. I think they've decided that it's time to have a little suckle from Mom. I don't think they want to try and feed off meat anymore. I think it's more time to have a little little bit of a suckle, and I can hear them calling, so I might just try and go up just on top here just to see if we can get a better visual. Obviously I'm a bit limited in the field of view, and why I've been parking here is because it's been easier for me to be able to kind of point in the right direction, but I'm going to try and just get Liam somehow into this, and so that he can see, because it's not easy for him with the kind of vehicle in the way it is. But here comes some of the sub-adults. There we go, and there is one or two cubs, I think, that are behind that, so I'm not quite sure how many are there. It looks like they both are being played with one of the sub-adults and having a little game. And there we go, being bitten on and pulled by the tail. And you can just hear little noises and bits of grass moving every now and then. It's actually quite difficult to see them behind all of this. Jason, yes, the cubs do have claws, very sharp little claws actually. You'd be surprised how sharp those claws can be at such a small age, and they've got sharp teeth too, to be honest. The little teeth are like needles, and so are their claws, and so they still have the weapons that they need. At the end of the day, little ones are being chased all over. Hold on, let me try and get this, because it's quite funny that one is being chased by another one and is kind of being moved. I'm just going to let these guys come through because they need to move out of the sighting. It's my old tracker Derek. Hello Derek, how's the mic? So that was probably one of the guys that I learned the most from, is Derek, who's sitting on the front of that car. He's an incredibly good tracker, really knows his stuff, and was somebody that taught me a lot. So nice to always bump into Derek and see him and say hello and just kind of have a bit of a catch up. I obviously didn't get to speak to him too much. Now I don't want to move too much because I don't want to scare the little ones. They're probably still getting used to us off-roading, but yeah, you can see that they're just sitting, and there's a few little games, and it's amazing how they go straight to the sub-adults to play. They like to kind of move around with them and rub up on them and have games with them more than anything else. There we go, onto the back. Super cute little ones. He's not gone to mom at this stage. I think mom's lying somewhere close by. Maybe mom's decided you're not getting much. I think that's the case. Maybe mom's fatigued after running all over the place. But how cute is that? Jason, you're asking how long it will take for those little cubs to become the big fully grown adults. Well, if you see the ones that they're climbing on at the moment, those lines that those two cubs are on, or that line that those two cubs are on, is now about just over a year and a half old. So it shows you how quickly they grow to a bigger size. But to become like the lioness with the wound in front there, that's going to take them about 3 to 3.5 years to be fully grown. So that's generally about when they reach sort of adult size, if you want to call it that. That's when they become sexually mature as lions and have reached pretty much their full size. They might bulk out a little bit from there, and if they're males, they definitely will still continue to grow even up until about 7 years. But as little cubs, where they can fend for themselves, they can hunt for themselves, they can kind of move around on their own and not have to be babysitted, well, that you'll find happens when they're about 3 to 3.5 years old. Then they are fully contributing members of the pride. There we go. I think the little ones have decided off to mom. I wonder if they've got favorite siblings. It would be really interesting to know if there is favorite siblings amongst them, and whether they go to certain, sub-adults and go and play with them more than others. It would be quite nice to kind of watch and check and see how that all works. I would imagine that there would be that situation. I'd imagine that certain sisters are far more obliging than some of the others. Now, unfortunately, there are a number of vehicles that want to come into the sighting, and we've been here for quite some time already, so I'm actually going to have to leave fairly shortly. There's a number of guys that have been waiting to get into the sighting, and because it's only with the cubs, it's only 2 vehicles allowed. We can't put more than 2 vehicles here, so I'm going to have to probably move out fairly shortly and let them all come in. Like I say, we've been very fortunate in that we've been able to sit here and spend time and really enjoy this kind of process and enjoy these little ones arriving and feeding and having a little game. So we're going to carry on and try and see what else there is around in this general vicinity. We'll go and check maybe at Chitwa Dam, see how our hippos are doing and the weavers. And while we do that, I believe Brent Leo Smith is still sitting in the Mara, still with his beautiful spotted cats, and I wonder if they are looking hungry and whether they're going to go on a hunt.
As you can see, absolutely no movement here, and it's getting warmer and warmer and warmer, and there are some zebra jogging very close to us, and there is a young one amongst them, but I think it might be a bit too big, and the cheetah have not noticed them just yet. Well, let's see what happened. I know there is a sub-adult somewhere amongst this herd. I saw them coming from far away. Now they're heading south towards Tanzania. Well, there's the ones far away, but there's a sub-adult coming close to us now in this little group right in front of us here, Seb. Yeah, sorry, I'm talking about different zebras. So there is a young one amongst this group that's right in front of us. It hasn't come, I haven't seen it yet. It's an adult, but there is a young one there. There we go, that's it there. And just see that fluffiness on the back a little bit. Yeah, there's a sub-adult. Now, as I said, the cheetah haven't even noticed them yet. I'm wondering if they will. Now, in theory, that one's... it still could be a little bit big for these two cheetah. But they are hungry, so let's see what happens here. Well, first, the cheetahs have to notice that there's a zebra right next to them. That would be first choice. Oh, it looks like the little guy has, maybe. I think this might be a little bit too big for them. The only thing that seemed to be coming and streaming through the valley today is zebra. Romit is wondering, what is the longest continuous running cheetah kill that I've seen? Oof, I'm not sure. I've seen them chase lots of different things, but it's normally never longer than about 300 meters or so. And probably baby warthog. Baby warthog would be the longest, probably about 300 meters that they continuously chased till they actually caught it. I've seen them run 100, 200 meters after Thompson's gazelle and fail. But continuous to a victory at the end, it would be a baby warthog. And that was in Botswana. And it was a really powerful coalition of 3 males. That poor little piggy had nowhere to go. Every time he tried to turn, there was another cheetah in front of him. Well, dearie me, that little zebra has wandered off. She's looked at it and decided, nope, that's too big. Oh, now there's another herd of zebra on the way. On the other side. Now they look like they might have an even smaller one. Now, there we go, see the little one there? That might be more Miale's style. But of course, she has to notice it first, and at the moment, it's completely hidden by the termite mound she's lying on. So lots of zebra. Oh.
Well, unfortunately, Brent seems to have some gremlins with his cheetah, so his cheetah might not be interested in hunting zebras, but maybe you can get them to hunt some gremlins and get rid of them because they're overpopulating at this stage of the game. So we've left our lions, as I was saying we would, and allowed some of the other guys to go and have a little look and enjoy and just experience the cuteness overload that is the little ones, and we'll come back this afternoon. They're not going to go anywhere. I think they're going to be moving much today. There won't be anything left by tonight though, or after tonight they'll be finished, and I would imagine hopefully that they're going to push northwards back towards Djuma, and we'll be able to have them on our side. It certainly will make a nice sort of surprise if we can get them on our side and all on a kill and feed in, kind of spending just as much time as they've spent everywhere else on Djuma for a bit. So we now do have giraffe and kudus and buffalo around, so the Nkuhuma Pride should come back. What amazes me is just where they must have come from, because they must have walked from Arethusa and just come straight west on the southern side of Djuma, which is a first. Generally they would have come through Djuma, and I would have thought with the buffalo around, maybe, just maybe, they might have picked up the sound or the scent and followed those through and tried to then hunt them down. But it seems as though that's not the case. It seems as though they obviously just came down the south area and they've been hunting all kinds of other things and eventually managed to bring a kudu down. But good to see nonetheless. It was a nice surprise, that's for sure. It's something I didn't expect us to see this morning. I didn't think we would get the Nkuhuma Pride on Chitwa, and in fact if you told me, laughed at that they're this far. And the other thing is they're not just on Chitwa. I now can't hear Megan at all. It seems as though maybe our signal is dropping, and so our radio comms, and hopefully you'll still be with me once I get on the other side, and hopefully Megan will be able to speak to me, because right now I have nothing. Megan, are you there? No, I don't think so. So it seems we've lost comms. Hopefully you are still with us. I'm just going to keep talking even if you're not, in case you are, and in case we still have you guys around with us. I can hear Megan is trying to talk to me. I just cannot decipher a single word. VM, can you hear Megan? Negative. VM can't hear Megan either. So that means two of us are having to just fly by night, so to speak, at the moment, and fly blind. I don't know if Chitwa Dam is going to be the best place to go. I'm just looking down there and it looks cold already from here. So we'll go and attempt it anyway and just see what we can find. And also VM and I want to try and just roll up these rain covers. It's not raining, and try and give VM a little bit more sort of space to work with and a bit more sort of area to be able to film, because I've limited him greatly over the last two drives by having the sides down. He can only really film straight, and so I'm going to try and open up his world for him, and he can also then experience just how nice and chilly it is without any rain covers. VM, are you looking forward to it?
I got a shuka.
You've got a shuka, so you're going to be fine, aren't you? Yes, well, I don't have a shuka, unfortunately. I must get gloves, but I was talking to Vildi about this morning. I do have gloves, and people might think that I'm crazy that I don't have any on my fingers, but the reason I don't is because, well, they would have gotten wet, and wet gloves are worse than no gloves, I would imagine. So here's another friend of mine, Lazarus, that I must just say hello to quickly. Hello everyone. Oh, it's Thomas. Hi Tom, how are you? Good. So it's actually Tom. It's another individual that I know very well and that spends a lot of time this side of the world. I used to work at Simamili, so always good to see. Right. There we go. Welcome back, Megan. Welcome back to our vehicle. And now we can hear Megan again. I believe I need to go to Tayla McCurdy. So I don't know what Tayla's got, what she's been up to, where she is, how she's getting there, or whether or not she's had any luck with her cheetah. But let's head across to her anyway, and I'm sure she'll be able to give us an update on what she's been up to over the last little bit.
My goodness gracious, gremlins are mean today. Oh well, maybe the wind will blow them away. So we're still looking for animals. We've actually driven in one of those quiet patches where we've barely seen anything for the last 15 minutes. So I'm pretty sure, like my comment that I made earlier about the game density up in the eastern corner at the moment of the triangle is probably the best in the triangle. Otherwise, we might have to go further south towards the Purungat Bridge to find some action. But even then, the wildebeest have left, so I don't really know what's going to be down that side. Maybe we can go look tomorrow morning. So there was a question from Danny, and it's a difficult one to answer, and it's, if I could be any one of the big cats, which one would I be and why? I've absolutely no Yeah, I have no interest actually in being one of the bigger cats, so a lion or a leopard or a cheetah. Firstly, who would want to be a cheetah other than the fact that you can run extremely quickly? Other than that, you have a pretty hard life. You're right at the bottom of the predator hierarchy. You get chased around by things. You often end up being killed by bigger cats like leopards and lions. A leopard would be pretty cool, because imagine being able to climb trees and will jump from the floor up to trees the way that they do, and also carry your kill. And it'd be nice, amazing to feel how strong they really are hoisting their kill. But again, I'm not so sure about it. Lions, I love lions. They're my favorite of the big cats. But again, I don't know. Female lioness, my goodness, it's a tough life being chased around by the boys, or being a big male lion. What a hard life you have, you know. Fine when you're a couple of years old, and then when you get kicked out, life just becomes tougher and tougher. And I don't want to die in a lion fight. I think it would be quite traumatizing. So I don't know if I'd be any of the big cats. I would, however, like to be a caracal. I'm also going to take this road now. I think being a caracal could be quite cool. They're exceptionally powerful cats for their size. They can leap so high into the air and catch birds, and they're also so elusive and so pretty. Who wouldn't want to be an African lynx? Bright, you know, bluish green eyes. I suppose I'm halfway there already. My hair's not quite the right color though, because in Afrikaans they call them a rooi cat, a red cat. Maybe I'll have to change my hair color though. But yeah, so I think a caracal would be quite amazing to be one of those. That would be quite nice. We've got elephants. There's loads of elephants around. That seems to be the only animal. Them and the buffalo in this area. Stop and have a quick look at them. Oh, crunch, crunch. Beautiful backdrop, of course, as well, with the Olololo escarpment. Some of them look like they've dusted themselves with some sand already, but they're also on their way to the river now. But they'll get there maybe only this afternoon, especially if they're walking at this pace. What are you guys feeding on today? Are you getting grass, or are you getting the little shrubs that are popping out from the ground after all the rain? It's hard to see, of course, what they're eating when the grass is so tall. They haven't been moving much today. None of the elephants are in a hurry. Sometimes we see them charging down towards the river. Oh, cool. Did you see that tick on its stomach? Just between its legs, that elephant there, you can actually see it when it moves its head. There's a big tick that's engorged. It's incredible. Look how large that thing is. My goodness. And we were talking about elephants and parasites the other day, and you don't actually see elephants completely covered in ticks like you do with the other animals, but there's a couple of them that have got strong enough jaws that they're able to get through that tough skin. That's going to pop off soon though, and it's going to struggle to walk. I mean, that's as engorged as a tick can get. I'm not sure what species that might be. It looks like one of those soft grey ticks. It doesn't actually look like a bond tick or something that's sort of, you know, a hardback tick. No, move your head. We want to see it again. That would be massive. I reckon that would be the size of one, maybe even bigger, maybe a 2 rand coin in South Africa. That is huge. And I'm sure if it wanted to, that elephant could actually just use its trunk and pull it off. Maybe that's why they don't have lots of ticks on their bodies, because they can use their trunks to remove them quite a bit. Now, Anthony, you're wondering if elephants can hear through their feet from miles away. They most certainly can. So, there are lots and lots of little nerve endings. So the rumblings that we can't hear through the infrasounds travel through the ground. And you'll often see elephants going completely stationary. And then you'll see them. Sometimes I've heard stories of people saying that you can actually see them rocking forward onto their tippy toes. I've never seen this though, but I'm going to be looking out for it. I always try and look out for it. And they'll just stand there quietly, and then they'll respond, and you'll see them normally, or you'll hear them going. Matriarch telling the rest of the herd what the movements are. Maybe they've got wind that there's green grass in a particular area, or the rivers have started flowing north of them. You know, they're constantly in communication with other elephants around them. So it is pretty cool that they can communicate with one another and pick up those vibrations in their feet. Not a sound besides the odd birds chirping about. It's crazy. It's all of a sudden gone a very dry heat. I can just feel my lips becoming quite dry now, which is no good. That means we're getting sunburnt, even though we're sitting in the shade most of the time. Take care. You're wondering if elephants breathe more through their mouth or their trunk. I'm going to say trunk, because when you see an elephant crossing a river, it always puts its trunk up like a snorkel. Oh, I just didn't. Where did that little elephant come from on the right? It was in the grass. Maybe it would sat down and had a sleep, and it just sort of been relaxing, and Mom was just feeding off to the side. I actually think that's what happened, because I didn't see it, and that panicked run obviously woke up and went, oh, no one else was around. And it isn't uncommon for a little elephant like that to just, well, flop to the side and have a rest, a couple of hours sleep, or half an hour little nap here. It is tiring for these little guys to keep walking. The adults are obviously quite used to it. It does take them a bit of time before they'll be used to traveling at the very, very far distances that an elephant can travel. At the moment, though, there's no real need for them to move around too much. We constantly discussing, and you can all see how green it is around here. There's plenty of water, so these elephants will stay fairly local. Up to the escarpment, back down to the river. Up to the escarpment, pretty much doing it every single day. Like I said this morning, there's some elephants that I'm pretty sure are on the same time schedule as I am. There he goes, laid down again. Oh, that's so precious. So obviously it's just absolutely exhausted, and like I said, realized that it was too far away and has moved closer to the rest of the herd and is now just going to... Sorry about that, everybody, but we're back. We seem to be having quite a few power surges in the Mara, which may be the cause of the problem. I'm not sure, though. Anyways, we just call them gremlins. But we've just actually repositioned. We moved away from the herd we were just with, and then I spotted these two little ones from a distance, and they looked like they were playing with one another, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're two youngsters of two different ages. The one on the right is much smaller than a friend on the left. So I'd say that one on the left is probably around 6 months, and the other is maybe 2 months old at a push. And they are quite happy to be the best of friends. And they'll probably grow up together, which is quite nice. So they're like cousins. They were being very funny. There must be something in the air today for the little elephants. They're either fast asleep or wrestling with one another. This little one on the right, though, is not quite strong enough with his shoulders, so it seems to be using the reverse technique. They're so sweet. Quincenator, you said that I mentioned that I can obviously get sunburned, but you're wondering if the elephants can get sunburned too. So I'd said to you earlier that there was some elephants that look like they cover themselves with sand. Yes, they can. They have to protect their skin. They'll use mud. They'll use sand there to try and form a protective layer. And this is how you do a wrestling move. This is a typical elephant pin. And let's see if the elephant's going to use its trunk to tap out. Are you? It's trying desperately. That's not fair. Shame. Obviously, one is much bigger than the other. But this is, of course, all gentle. Even though it sometimes may look a bit rough, it's actually fine. They really are just playing, and eventually the other one will get off of it and allow his little friend to get up and play about too. But isn't that absolutely gorgeous? And it's important that they play. So we obviously talk about lions and leopards and the other predators, how we see them play fighting, and how that's valuable experience for when they get older, when they have to learn how to defend themselves, when they have to learn how to hunt. Elephants will do the same thing. Playing like this will help strengthen all those little muscles are developing, even the trunk. And they're swinging it around. And, of course, building up muscle in their hindquarters and their shoulders. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to spin so quickly. So running around like this is so great for these Ellies. Oh, that's so precious. Now, Becca, also another great question from you, wondering at what age do little elephants get their tusks? So it depends on genetics. Some elephants' tusks can come through quicker than others, but a general gauge is at about 2 years old or so. You just start to see them protruding through the flaps of skin. And that's normally how we'll sort of gauge it. And then sometimes you get elephants that don't have any tusks, so then it becomes a little bit more tricky when you're trying to guess the age of an elephant. Then you have to look at how much control they have over their trunk. But 2 years old is about the normal, maybe even a little bit later, maybe 3 years old. But it's a beautiful herd, isn't it? I wonder if they're a part of the other herd. Well, no, actually, no, they're going in two different directions. Those two are like circus elephants, those little ones. They're still pushing and shoving one another. The other ones just flop to the ground now. You can see them running amongst the legs of the adults. Oh, yeah, now you're going to have to get up. We're going to have to roll around. Up you get. Beautiful. And you can see the adults just sort of watching over them as they play about. They're fairly safe amongst these giants. Roshni, you said that the elders are quite important. They are indeed. They are the most important. We were discussing reasons why the older the elephant is, the more vital it is for it to survive. Obviously, we want young elephants to survive as well, but it's just because they're a wealth of knowledge, and it's important that they pass all the secrets that they have and all their experiences onto their youngsters and onto other elephants. There's a cow coming in, intervening, saying, come on everybody, get a move on. You two are being silly. You're playing amongst the feet of the adults, and that's not a good idea. Not that an adult would step on them, especially not the cows. Some testosterone-filled bulls, though, every now and then get the better of young calves. They can be quite aggressive towards them. Whether they're doing it intentionally or not, they just don't realize their own strength. It's quite hard to tell. Darby, I'm going to reposition for us so we can get a nice view of the little ones again. This road just actually bends around, so they could come towards us. And I wonder, with their sort of playful behavior that they have now, if they'll show any interest into the car. Let's see. Normally, if you see this in South Africa in the Sabi sand, you know those little ones are running up to you and are going to mock charge you and do all those crazy things. I'm like, oh, they're coming straight towards us. This is going to be fantastic. So I'm to try and figure out their path. Oh, so amazing. I'm so lucky. Well, David and I are so lucky that we were able to do this every single day. The fact that I can start my day off with elephants and end my day with elephants puts a big smile on my face. And they haven't acknowledged us just yet, but the cows are feeding pretty much in our direction. So it could get quite exciting. Nita, you said that this is oh so delightful. It is. Any time spent with elephants is always a good time. So they've separated now, the little one running over to mom. Maybe it's going to be ready to get some food. And the other one also going across to mom. It's like they've been told to behave now that their vehicle's around. Yeah, smelling us now. You saw that little trunk go up. Come towards us. Roshni, you're wondering if these elephants are born with baby teeth, like cats are. No, I don't think an elephant is born with any teeth at all. Well, they're still going to come through. It will take a little while. And that's often why they've got to suckle for the first couple of months of their life. But then they should start to push through afterwards. And I'm just trying to think, no, I don't think they were born with teeth at all. I think they're just all gums. Oh, they're so cute. But they'll come through fairly quickly. You start to see these young elephants, playing around with grass or trying to eat it. They often eat their parents' dung, which is a little bit easier for them to chew on. But, from about 3 or 4 months old, they're already showing interest in vegetation. We'll probably start taking more of it in at about 6 months or so. Oh, they are so, so sweet. The way that they play. I love how the little one just resorts to flopping down onto the ground all the time. Maybe it's tired. Maybe they've been playing all morning and this one's saying, I just want to have a little break. Look at those trunks. Gonna stick my trunk in your mouth. Greeting one another. They're not quite sure, about the different types of greetings that you get. They obviously copy the adults. They see the adults doing it, and then they just carry on. I'm excited. I think this could get really cool because they're coming towards us now, which is quite nice. I mean, they're maybe only about 20 meters away from us. I just want the little ones to turn and come this side. Naturable, you said that you think that more animals should have trunks like elephants. I kind of agree. Especially when they're young. When they're older, obviously, they're very impressive. All the different things that they're able to do and the amount of muscles that they have in their trunks. But watching those muscles develop and watching them get swung around is amazing. It is so hilarious. You cannot help but laugh when you're in an elephant sighting and you've got youngsters. I mean, you'll get this uncontrollable giggle that sort of just comes across your body, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. But how is this? They're walking right past the car, and not one, besides that one little elephant, well, sort of smelling us. They've not showed any interest at all. They've completely ignored us. Oh, I was really excited. I thought that we were going to get some nice interaction with these little ones. But the adults are actually just sort of herding them away a little bit, where in South Africa, it's almost as though we become the babysitters and the parents get a bit of relief. They leave the little ones, and you've seen that. Mom will carry on feeding and the little ones will run around the car. Glenda, a great question from you. You're wondering if the herd will protect a calf if the mother is not around and the young calf is not nursing. Most certainly. I mean, they'll even support other adults if need be. They're incredibly intelligent and they've got such a strong bond between one another. They want to help each other out constantly. So I think so. It's just unfortunate sometimes, unforeseen circumstances, whether it being a mother being poached or dying of an injury, and then they normally get left behind because, say, for instance, mom hasn't been able to keep up with the herd, so of course the calf stays next to her. And I think that's maybe what had happened. Remember that elephant that I used to tell you about that was on the base of the escarpment, and then the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust actually came and fetched that little elephant and is now going to grow up in an orphanage and then will hopefully be released at some point too. So I think what had happened there is obviously mom fell too far behind the herd and something happened to her and that little one didn't know what to do and just sort of stayed in that area. If it is the case of maybe the elephant, something happening to that elephant and the herd being nearby, I'm sure they'll take that young elephant under its wing and try and guide it through. They're so amazing. It wouldn't surprise me if a female would adopt another youngster and allow it to suckle as well. Obviously, allow suckling is not as common with elephants as it is with lions. That seems to happen all the time. Obviously, females show more preference to their own cubs, but they will tolerate the others. But elephants, I've never seen an elephant adopt a calf before, and I think it also be quite hard to tell. I'm definitely sure that it happens out here. There they go. That's so great. They haven't stopped. They're going to be absolutely exhausted in the next half an hour. Maybe the adults have to find a nice shady spot just so that they can have a little break. Well, the one on the right is clearly showing its dominance over the younger one, and only because size matters. But just you wait. When that one on the right gets a little bit bigger, you're going to have some stiff competition, I think. Feisty personality. Awesome. Okay, well, I think we'll let these elephants carry on with their day. I think that was quite nice. I need to try and find a way. Well, we're going to try. I want to try and actually navigate through these elephants because we're so far in the middle of a massive block. It's going to take us ages to get back. Let's see if they'll let us come through. Whew. Going to have to take some layers off now. All of a sudden very, very hot. Okay, well, I've got a bit of a traffic jam at the moment with the elephants in front of me. Hopefully they will let us pass. Who knows what kind of fee we'll have to pay. Brent is having a fantastic morning. Let's go catch up with him.
Well, unfortunately, Miale and Son decided there will be no moving for the foreseeable future, and we've still got about 60 plus kilometers to get home. So we are starting to head towards the Purungat Bridge, and hopefully we'll find something along the way. Now, maybe we'll do a little bit of birding, who knows, as we move through. Quite a lot of zebra in this area that are slowly moving back towards Tanzania. And still no potential prey even in the next valley for Miale. nothing small that we can see. This is actually exactly where we got hit by the rainstorm last night, was right here. Where we did our tent segment. Now, let's quickly give you an idea of where home is. Okay, so we've got Lookout Hill, a very prominent hill over there. So if we go into Lookout, Sebastian, then go off to the right. A bit more. There. That hill on the background in there, that little dip, that's the valley where camp is. So as a crow flies, probably 25 kilometers or so. But as driving wise, of course, we can't go in a straight line. It's about 60 odd kilometers. And, well, due to the fact that we're not driving down a big main tar road, it'll probably take us about 2 to 2.5 hours. Okay, I had a bit of comms break up there. I have another question. Oh, piglets! Look at them go! Run, piggies! To the right. The babies are to the right. There we go. They're the little ones. Hello, little ones. And there's mom with last year's babies as well. Well, one of the females, the males would have moved off. Now, off they go. Oh, they are very cute little warthogs. Okay, well, Rebecca was asking, what is the difference of elevation between the floor of the Mara and our camp? Our camp is at around 1,950 meters, so very, very high, where the average, now of course because you've got all the undulations, your average height at the base of the Mara is between 1,400 and 1,600, so about 400 to 500 meters in elevation. Now unfortunately I'm not sure what that is in feet. Sebastian, are you good at maths? Not really. So that's why he's a cameraman, and that's why I'm a safari guide and presenter. Maths, not my strong point. Tracking, spotting, following hunting cats, talking nonsense. Those are all strong points. Ah, look at that. Baby warthogs, now a tiny baby Topi. So, oh, it's disappeared. Oh, I think we might just get a view of it. It's sitting down just next to mom, but it is very, very small, the Topi. Now, this is the direction. If you're a hungry cheetah, you should go. Hello, little one. And mom, of course. Babies abounding at the Mara at the moment. Baby Tommies, baby Topi, baby pigs. And someone who's probably a little bit jealous of the bright sunshine that's around. Oh, wobble, wobble. This is very new. Very new. I think we've probably just missed the birth. Very, very new. But it's going to warm up quickly in the lovely Mara sunshine. And as I was saying, someone who is probably missing a bit of sunshine today is Tristan.
We are indeed, Brent Leo Smith. We would love a bit of sunshine just to warm things up slightly, although we need the rain, and so I suppose we can't complain too much about it. We have to have rain. It's vitally important for our ecosystem, and so, well, rain can fall. It just must not fall when you're on game drive. That's the only condition I have. Rain is welcome to fall between game drives, after game drives at night, no worries, but otherwise no rain during game drives. It makes things a little bit more unpleasant and makes it a lot harder too to actually get things right. But we've made some modifications to Wendy. We've now all of her canvas, so she can see it's a lot more open. VM feels like he's free again, like he can actually start to look for animals and not just be a caged sort of tiger in the back of the, what are you, VM, a caged leopard or a tiger or a lion? What do you think you are? Caged leopard. So you don't have the bulk for a tiger. You don't have the bulk for a tiger. Yes, you're slightly on the smaller side of things, and so I suppose a leopard would suit you perfectly, Vildy. Even a serval, you reckon? I think leopard is where we would go with VM. You've got the cunning of a leopard as well, so I think VM would definitely be that, and not a serval is too small. VM, that's not the fight that you are in. You're sorry. That's the felis. And that's the felis. Exactly. You're a panthera. You're not a feline. You're a part of the big cats, not the small cats. So here we go, we've established that VM is going to be a leopard in the back there. So at least we've set him free, and now VM can spot and help me look out. Also is good because it's encouraging that it's not raining anymore, and hopefully it means that this afternoon things are going to slowly but surely kind of die down when it comes to the rain, and that we should have a fairly dry afternoon. Well, I'm hoping anyway. At least we've got some also encouraging things for this afternoon to go and follow up on. At the end of the day, the Nkuhumas will still be around. They're still going to be in that area, so we should get some time with them. And well, I would imagine if it stops raining, a lot of our other cats might be up and moving and just trying to scent mark and trying to kind of get all of their scent back into place after a bit of soaking rain. The other thing is that once it stops raining and if the wind dies, then we should start to see a situation where our elephants and buffalo and those kind of things should start coming out of thickets. At the moment, they will be all hidden and trying to just stay in as deep and as dense bush as possible to try and keep out of this horrible wind. But once that dies down, then we should see a much better, much more kind of conducive sort of weather for game viewing. So it promises to be a good afternoon, at least. Even if this morning was a little on the cold side, it should warm up a little bit and hopefully be a bit better this afternoon. What do you think, Vim?
Weather?
Yeah.
It's going to be cold.
You think it's going to be cold?
Yeah,
but not raining. Alright, so cold we can do, not raining is perfect. So I like your prediction, VM. I'm happy with that. We can most definitely deal with that this afternoon. I was just coming past Gari Dam on our way, because we're starting to meander home now. We're starting to try and find our way to breakfast. Hopefully it's going to be a hot breakfast and not fruit breakfast, because fruit breakfast, which is nice on a hot day, is not great on a freezing morning like this. So hopefully it will be a nice hot breakfast, and so we're going to head there. I believe Tayla McCurdy is going to be the last one to speak to all of you. So from myself and VM, we'll see you this afternoon. I hope you've had a wonderful time and enjoy the last few minutes with Tayla.
Hot breakfast sounds delicious. I'm searching for my lip ice currently, because my lips feel like they're being burnt. We need to protect the lips as well with an SPF. I'm also hoping for a hot breakfast. Darby, what do you feel like for breakfast today? No, pancakes. But why? What with bacon? Savory pancakes. What about Nutella? No. I could have a pancake with Nutella on. I don't feel like pancakes this morning, and I really hope it's not pancakes for breakfast this morning. I'll be sad. Maybe start off with a bowl of fruit and yogurt. Some muesli, honey. I don't know why. It must be engraved in the Wild Earth team that I don't know, either between, well, because we're an hour ahead of South Africa, but it's almost 9:30 in the morning here, that between a certain time, the last hour of show, all we think about is food. That's it. No animals, no nothing. We start wondering what for breakfast, we start smelling bacon in the middle of nowhere. It's actually quite scary how it happens. But we're heading back towards home now with no animals in sight whatsoever. Thank goodness we had that pocket of elephants, because otherwise it would have been very, very quiet. And not even any birds flying around, or even any insects that we can see. So I don't know where we're going to go for this morning. Not this morning, an afternoon's drive. I don't know where we're going to go. I haven't quite figured it out. I know we're not going to be able to go west or south because of the rain. I suspect that that's going to happen. Maybe if we don't get rain this afternoon, which I highly doubt, then we'll go down towards the bridge. We'll have to take it we'll see what happens. Sometimes we get early day rain and then it doesn't rain out in the afternoon. So if we can have that, that'll be quite nice. But for now, it's looking pretty clear, though there are a couple of cirrus clouds forming in the sky, those wispy ones, and we know what that means. We know that that normally means bad weather is on the way. Sure, what another adventure-filled morning it has been, don't you think? Variety of animals from all over, from South Africa and from here in Kenya. But please remember to join us this afternoon from the Sunset Safari. Thank you and goodbye.